Hello and welcome to Tonic Studios. I'm Leo and today I'm going to be showing you the Chai Caddy Gift Box die set. So the first thing that I would mention is that with your die set you do get an instruction sheet, and this does list the numbers of all of the different die cuts that you need, and it is worth paying attention to this to make sure that you get this correct. The one I would recommend you double check is this triangle here. When you cut this aperture, you actually want to cut the smaller triangle again out of that. And I've actually done it from my waist piece, so I've ended up with this. And that's how you'll make sure that you have the right size triangle in the center. So I'm going to start with the construction of the basic box. So I have the side panels and one of the standard hexagons here. And I'm using Redline tape today, just to make this a little bit quicker on camera. But you can use liquid glue if you prefer. I always like to use liquid glue when I'm putting together boxes, just because it gives you that few seconds to wiggle things together if you don't land it quite right the first time. So by taking this panel, we're going to need to line it up with one of the straight sides on the hexagon. And just line that up right along the edge there. And I'm just going to keep doing this around the box. Just making sure you get those sides nicely lined up, because this is going to give the structure to your box once it's completed. As you're putting this together as well, just make sure that you have all of the middle tabs facing the same way as well. This is a really nice sturdy box once it's all assembled. There's a lot of parts to it that help to give it structure, so you could fill it with lots of different things. And when Laura and I were going through the reveal the other day, we talked about using this as perhaps a wedding favour. So the colour palette that I've gone with today is actually inspired by a wedding that I went to recently. I thought I would use that and bring it into my make today. Okay, this is the last of the side panels. Just ripping off that. And again, just making sure I've got that nicely lined up along the edge. And then the last one. If I can get my red tape off. There we go. Can't quite see it against the pink cardstock, that's my fault. Okay, so that's the last of my side panels glued to the base. And you then have another plain hexagon. I'm actually going to glue this into the bottom, and I'll cover up then your tabs inside. So I'm just using liquid glue for this. It's just a little bit around the edge, and then a good bit across the middle. And I found it's easier to do this before you actually glue the sides together. It just gives you that little bit more room to get inside and pop that piece in. Just make sure that's firmly pressed down all the way across the bottom. And then I'm just going to take the tape off these side panels and put those together as well. And again, just making sure you've got those edges nicely lined up. You're going to stack some more pieces on top of this box, so you want everything to be properly in line. That'll help everything fit together nicely. Okay, and the last one of these. And that's the base and sides of the box completed. The next bit that we add on then are the two hexagons that have the triangle cutouts in them. And these are going to form the basis of the locking mechanism on top. So again, I'm just using tape for this, just to make this a little bit quicker. But you can use the liquid glue again to hold this down. It will keep it nice and strong once it's all completed. With this box, there's a lot of different things that you could put into there. It's a fairly deep gift box. It has quite a nice size opening with these triangles on the top. So there's plenty of different things that you could put into there. You could use it as a jewelry gift box. You could definitely put some sweets or chocolate in there if you wanted to give this as a favour. You probably get some tea lights or wax melts into there as well. Or, like I said, use it as something decorative. You know, pop it on your dressing table. Something to have pretty to look at. So again, I'm just going to make sure that I've lined this up nice and closely along the edges. Popping it down onto one piece first and then just working my way around this hexagon. Trying to line up as closely as possible with those edges. Again, this is going to help give structure to the top of the box for you, so take time to really get that nicely lined up. And then we're actually going to put a second one of these on top, and you want to make sure that your triangles line up the same way. So I'm just going to quickly pop this on with some liquid glue. Just a little bit, don't need too much. And then just line this up over the top. And like I said, this part now actually forms part of the locking mechanism for the top of this box, which we're going to get to in just a second. So it is important that these triangles do line up nicely over the top as well. The next part then that we need are the 4 hexagons that have the circular cutout in here. And we're just going to stack these on top of the box. So again, I'm just going to use some liquid glue for this. Just pop it right around the edge. Not too much, I don't want this to squeeze out of the edges onto my pretty gift box. Just line it up again with that hexagon base as well. Keep everything as straight as you can. And the next one. So the triangles are for the lock to fit into. And then these circular openings are what the actual lid sort of recesses down into. It's a very clever design, this. I was very impressed when I was putting this together, how it all fits and just works really nicely. So you can see here we're starting to layer this up now that your lid will actually sit into on the top of the box. So this is the 3rd of these openings. Again, just making sure that's lined up nicely on top. And trying to make sure that the actual circular opening here is as aligned as possible. If the edges for this go slightly skewer, that's not too much of an issue. We're actually going to cover those in a second with some very clever pieces that go along the side. Okay, last one of these going on the top. Okay, and that is the very basic foundation of the box completed and the locking mechanism. And I'm just going to put together the lid while that dries nicely to one side for me. So for the lid, I have 2 of the circles, the large circles that is, 6 of the smaller ones, and then the 2 small triangles. So first of all, I'm going to take a stack of 4 of these little circles. I do have 4, yes I do. I'm going to just glue these together. Again, just a bit of glue around the edge, a bit across the middle to hold it. And these just need to stack together. Again, get them all nicely lined up, so nice and straight. And then the last one of these. That's my little stack of 4 of the small circles, and then I'm going to glue the 2 larger circles together. I'm going to make sure that the outside side is showing, and you'll see that you have this embossed ring on here, and this will become very important in just a moment. So again, just using a tiny bit of wet glue in here to put these together. Get them nicely lined up. I'm going to take my stack of the 4 smaller circles and I'm going to glue them right into the middle where this embossed ring is. So that's actually a nice guideline for you to make sure that you get this mechanism for the lock right into the centre of the lid. So make sure you've got that nicely lined up with that embossed ring, just like that. And then the last part for the locking mechanism is the 2 smaller triangles. And again, no surprises here, I'm just going to glue these 2 together. Making sure they're all nicely lined up before I squeeze them together. And then these glue then to that little stack of circles that we've got there. So I'm literally just going to put a tiny bit of glue right across the middle. And then you want to try and centre this as much as possible over that stack of the 4 circular die cuts that you have there. So you should have an even amount of the circles on each side. Give that a couple of seconds to dry. And then your final 2 small circles, these are going to form the sort of pinch lid that you have on the top. So I'm just going to fold those along the score line and glue them together. And then that just sticks straight onto that embossed edge again, giving you that nice guideline of where to put the little handle. That's it. And then in order to open and close the box, you just line up the inner triangle and the triangle in the lid, pop them together and twist, and then your lid sits nicely on your box. The last part of the actual box structure then are these small pieces that actually go around the edge, and this is where you can hide any parts that aren't quite straight on the edges or where it's gone a little bit wavy. They all get hidden by these very clever little tabs that go around the sides. So I'm just going to pop this onto here. So they line up very nicely with the edges and also with the circle on the top. And again, just pinch it into place if you're using liquid glue, just give it a second for that to bond. And then you finish those around the top. So you should have 6 of those in total. Again, this is another reason I like using liquid glue when I'm putting together 3D makes. It just gives you a few seconds to move things around if you don't get them to land quite right the first time. With red tape, you've got to do it perfectly when you first hit the cardstock or you're in trouble. Okay, last couple of these. And you can see it's covering up all of those edges nicely on there, so you don't get any of those stacked edge pieces from where we've added 6 layers of cardstock. Almost there. It's actually a very quick and easy box to put together. It looks very complicated, but actually once you start building it, it does go together nice and quickly. I've made I think 4 or 5 of these at this point in different colourways to test it out. It's getting quicker each time. And here we go, and that is the last of those pieces on there. So that is the finished an assembled box with its little locking mechanism lid. Oh, I can find it, there we go, a triangle in there. And I have decorated one as well. Like I said, I chose this colour palette from a wedding that I went to recently, so I've gone with some pink and navy and gold on here. And I've just got a couple of the decorative panels to finish off, and also one of the tags from the die set as well, that I'm just going to add to it as well. So I have a couple of the side panel pieces here I'm just going to pop together with some liquid glue. And for this, because we are going to see this, I'm going to use as little glue as I possibly can get away with. Just a couple of small dots around the edge. And a couple across the middle, just to hold it in place. I'm just going to line that up then with the base piece. And then squeeze that together just so it bonds for me. I'm going to give that a moment to set to one side and do this piece for the top. So I've done this in exactly the same way. I've cut this with some gold pearlescent cardstock, and I've just used a piece of navy in the background. A couple of dots of glue across the middle. Line them up. I'm going to pop this one on with foam pads, the same as I have on the rest of the box. Just to give it a bit of dimension on the sides as well. And this was only one of the decorative patterns in the die set. There is a second panel type that you can use as well. You could mix and match the two. You've got an even number of panels around the edges. So if you wanted to have 3 of one design and 3 of the other, you could mix it up that way as well. And you'll notice that these actually have a notch that fits really nicely with that little tab that keeps everything neat and tidy for us on the tops. And I'm just going to pop my tag under this piece as I pop it down. So I'm just using liquid glue for this one, right across the back. I'm going to hang my tag over the edge and just glue the ribbon under my decorative piece here. She says. There we go. Pop that into place on the top. And that is my finished Chai Caddy Gift Box die set box. Nicely decorated and ready to be given as a gorgeous gift for someone. Thank you very much for joining me today. I hope this has inspired you to get crafting with this set. Do tag us in your makes. We love to see what you've been making, and happy crafting.